Hello and welcome to the Drunkduck Quackcast. I'm Assassination. With me is Tart Serene and Baines. Hello, guys.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
And now we're going to start the theme music. So, theme music away. Was the Drunkduck theme music. So here we are on Quackcast number 683. Yay! Isn't that amazing? 683. We're really powering along with all our different damn Quackcasts. So this week we're talking about teaching, aren't we, guys? Or at least
so.
The depiction of teachers in movies and stuff like
that.
Got it
bad.
What?
Got it bad.
Indeed. So we'll be enlightening everybody about this stuff. But first we got to bring up the featured comic for this week, and the featured comic was Bunyan Mark 7, which is a comic by Marco Rossi, and I'm going to tell you about that now. I am, of course, Ozone Ocean, and my feature for the week was Bunyan Mark 7. Adrian is having a massive run of bad luck. He lost his family villa, all his money, and almost everything he inherited, except a giant agricultural robot mech suit. Maybe he can turn his life around. He had better hurry, though. He doesn't have much time till he has to repay all his debts. Maybe with his life. The art here is all digital and brightly coloured in the characteristic style of Mr. Marco Rossi, who is the creator. The story is very fast-paced, and the exposition is very clever, jumping you right into things and catching you up to speed very quickly without spoon-feeding you. The style is action, adventure, sci-fi. And I was quite impressed by his skill of jumping you right into the story like that. It's not very usual that people do that. People normally take quite a bit of time to build up to that kind of level, but he's got a lot of skill, which means he's taking you right into it, and it's a very compressed story. You're getting a lot of backstory and front story and all kinds of the story in a very short succession. So I hope you enjoy this comic, Bunyan Mark 7 by Marco Rossi. It's rated T for teen, so everyone can enjoy it. And that was our featured comic, which is Bunyan Mark 7, a comic by Marco Rossi, and I would have told you all about that. Okay, so next up we have our featured music. This week, Gunwallace has given us a theme to Curse of the Office Werewoman. This is a cool cruise into the bright sunlit waters in the South Mediterranean, where warmth and calm abide, sipping a cocktail on the lido deck while dressed all in white, soaking up the sun, drifting off into a pleasant dream. Take it away, Gunwallace, with your theme to Curse of the Office Werewoman. That was Gunwallace's musical theme to Curse of the Office Werewoman, a comic by Cornelius Cool, rated T for teen. And we thank him for that. That's very kind of him for providing us this great theme music. All right, so our topic for the week is teaching in media. So, Baines, you're inspired to do this, and you came up with this excellent image, which was the Jack Black doing his little dance in School of Rock, which is a really cool, fun film. I think my favorite film about teaching in movies and like in media was Fame. I want to live forever.
Oh, yeah, man.
People remember my name. Remember. Fame. That was a great movie. And a TV series as well.
I was going to say, I actually missed the movie, but I remember the TV show from when I was a kid. Yeah.
Less scarring, the TV show. More fun.
I have not seen the TV show. Wow. I have seen the movie though.
The movie was more dramatic and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone remembers the sad moment where that girl, gets a modeling gig and has to take her top off and starts crying. Oh God! Oh no! And that's the main thing I remember from the movie. That stupid, sad thing. But apart from that, it's a good movie about a TV series about teaching people dancing and all this kind of stuff. So, Benz, what inspired you to do this teaching topic?
My news post about Kisho Tenketsu, I don't have the understanding to do it, so that's what inspired doing something else that I could do a little more easily. Funnily enough, I did a top 5 movies about music or bands or whatever. School of Rock was on that list. And you know what actually inspired it? I was rewatching Dead Poets Society, and I hadn't seen it in a long time. I used to love that movie, and I enjoyed it a lot again. So yeah, that's what did it actually. My Captain.
I've never seen it.
Yeah,
My Captain.
I have seen it too. I remember actually seeing it in the cinema, and half the theater filed out in tears after Dead Poets.
That's a powerful ending.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have never seen it. Okay, so that was Robin Williams in one of his dramatic roles as a teacher. His other teaching role, of course,
maybe his first.
Could have been, yeah. His other teaching role was, of course, no, it wasn't his first dramatic role, no. But his other teaching role was the teacher in Good Will Hunting. Another inspiring teacher.
But he was a psychologist. He was not a teacher.
Well, he was a teacher. He was teaching at a community college, but his function in that movie was not as a teacher.
Yeah.
It was Will's psychologist. Yeah, that's true. So that would have taken it out of the running to the rules I gave myself for that list. It was formal classroom teacher student. So,
I remember Robin Williams, an early dramatic role. I don't know if it's first one, but that would be The World According to Garp.
Oh, of course, yeah.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Was he in Moscow on the Hudson?
Would we count as movies where we have teachers with a sort of mentorship relationships, but also for quote-unquote formal teaching? Like, for example, Mr. Miyagi in Karate Kid, he teaches.
Oh, it's a gray area. He is teaching him.
Yeah, and part of the movie's exploration is the 2 different teaching styles between the dojo teacher. Oh my God! How could I forget him? The guy that teaches the bullies.
He teaches Cobra Kai.
Yeah, Cobra. Oh my God! I was remembering Mamba for some reason. I don't know why. Different snake. That was from a different movie.
Sweep the leg.
And speaking of Karate Kid, like the series Cobra Kai picks up with Daniel and his rival Johnny, and they're both teachers. They end up
wow.
with competing kind of karate schools. It's very cool. Yeah.
Oh, I should check that out. Yeah.
It's
But yeah,
worth it. I haven't seen the whole thing yet, so yeah.
I would count that as a teaching movie because the whole issue hinges on how karate is being taught to the kids and what kind of person is yielded by the teaching style. So yeah,
Right.
please excuse my dog eating obnoxiously.
No one can hear it, Tons. Don't worry.
I can't even hear it.
All right. Okay, good. Just in case.
Yeah, it does. I would say the series Cobra Kai fits even better because it literally is classrooms. It's karate class, but it's like a group of students with teachers, and in the end, there are 2 or maybe 3 different classes. You see the differences, the rivalries, and stuff.
And I want to also mention like a couple of more movies, and one that I want to rant about. Of course, To Share with Love is the like the beginning, like the golden standard, in my opinion, on how teaching movies should be made. But one of the a couple of the more recent ones was one with Antonio Banderas, Take the Lead.
Yeah.
And one with, what's his name? The guy that plays JJ in Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, Whiplash. J.K. Simmons, yeah.
Yeah.
He's awesome. I love that
both.
Yeah.
The thing is, Take the Lead is a lot more like To Share with Love in the sense that you have a teacher that becomes a mentor and inspires. And of course, it has some really awesome dance sequences there. And I really like, although I think it didn't get good reviews, but personally, I really liked the movie. And Whiplash, on the other hand, which is also an excellent movie, has the world's worst mentor and teacher ever. Like, that's abuse 101. And there is no way, you don't create genius that way. No. That's how you create different things, but not geniuses.
I know multiple music, although it's a good movie, yeah, like some jazz musicians who I know have said, yeah, that's not how jazz works or how teaching music works. It just doesn't work that way.
No.
But, still a good movie, a fine job.
Yeah. As a movie, it is excellent, but it is really how you get an abusive relationship and how the victim cannot understand that it is abusive, even when it is so blatantly abusive. That's my take from that movie. Not here is an excellent, albeit stern teacher that does a good job. That's not it.
Right. And it kind of ends up being about, spoiler alert, lightly for about 10 seconds here. It ends up being about like being dedicated to your craft and focused versus having relationships and stuff. Which, I don't know. I think those are choices that probably have to be made. Maybe not to an extreme degree, but maybe so.
Not that way. And this is like I'm going to speak a little bit like from my job because I am an education specialist from the background of psychology. That's like my expertise is on how to teach people and how to create geniuses, actually, which is a thing that we have in psychology. The thing is, if you do not have a work-life balance, then your craft will suffer inadvertently. There is no way to avoid it. Your craft will suffer if you do not have a whole balanced life beyond your craft.
Makes sense.
Yeah. What you need to do is surround yourself with people that understand you and support you and really enjoy what you do and understand what you do and all of that, which is why you see, like for example, in figure skating, many couples are also partners in competitions and stuff like that because that's their life. That's how they live. But they also have a relationship that goes beyond the ice rink. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So that's like a terrible movie, Whiplash, to get as a rule of thumb for what is teaching. Like that. That's
You make
terrible.
me you make me think of the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
No.
It's about a
chess
young
player?
chess prodigy, and he's kind of torn between different styles of teaching, different mentors. Again, it wouldn't have fit in my list strictly because it's a chess coach, but it's this sort of chess teacher, more formal, and then a guy who plays street chess. Lawrence Fishburne plays this guy who plays chess in the park, and he's like got a more loose style, so he plays a role. And then there's also the kid's father, who represents kind of, do you have a more rounded life, or are you just dedicated to chess, kind of thing? And it deals with those themes, and it's a good movie.
Yeah.
And yet Bobby Fischer still turned out to be a nutcase.
Yeah, he's not in the movie. Bobby Fischer is not in the movie. It talks about him. But, it's like,
All
do
right.
you want to be a prodigy like Bobby Fischer? This is about I don't know if he's a fictional character, but it's about a kid anyway who was a chess prodigy.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about Bobby Fischer throughout the movie.
Yeah. Now, I would like.
I was just going to
like
mention Blades of Glory for a movie about ice skating teachers, and
Yeah.
that's the classic ice skating teacher movie. That's
Oh my God! Yes. How could I forget that one? Oh yeah.
They teach you how to do the spinning move that cuts off people's heads, and
Yeah. That's like it's not completely outlandish in the sense that those blades can actually hurt you really bad if you're not careful, but not that. I mean, okay, they're not much sets. Yeah, the thing is, what I would like to say is that how a person teaches, and that's good for character building. Not necessarily in a formal setting only, like in a classroom, but when you have one character teach another character something, that tells a lot. That will show a lot without telling of the personality of the teacher, the one in the teaching role, how they go about it, how tolerant they are, how self-centered or non-self-centered they are. And what I mean by that is egocentric. Like, do they understand that a novice will not assume certain things, or don't they? And how do they react to a student mistake? How do they react to a student doing well? All of that. That shows a lot of the teacher's character, not the student character. And then the student is how the student receives the teaching also tells a lot about the student, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So yeah, that's what I would keep in mind. Another nice teaching instance is in Kung Fu Panda, the first one. And when you have because you have this Kung Fu master Sifu level, teacher, who has to teach the panda to be a Kung Fu master, which is hilarious, of course, because the panda supposedly is like the worst candidate for being good at Kung Fu. But apparently, like the sacred turtle master guy picks him to be the top fighter. And the thing is that the Sifu character, the teacher, starts first by trying to train the panda in the typical way, which does not work. So eventually, and this is the character arc of the teacher, he figures out that he has to change his approach to get across the teachings. And when he changes his approach, the progress is spectacular. And Paul actually does become really good at Kung Fu, just in his own style. And I think that that is one of the best ways of depicting teaching, that you have to always take into account who you are teaching and how.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. I've just looked up some famous teaching movies that you guys might not know. Dead Poets Society, of course. No, I've never watched that, but you guys have. I don't actually know.
Is that a new movie? I have never seen it.
Just come out, dudes. Yeah, I'm with it. No, okay. So there's this famous old British one, Goodbye, Mr. Chips, which is I think based on really old stories. And that's really old. So the idea is that there was this really inspirational, fantastic teacher, and the whole thing is that the students are basically remembering how inspirational and amazing this person was and changed their lives. And it becomes this like really emotional thing because this teacher finds out how much he was like loved and stuff. So yeah, it's a Goodbye, Mr. Chips. That's a famous one and very old. Educating Rita, which was
yes,
that's
that was awesome. How could I forget that? Yeah,
which is of course a bit of a play on another famous teaching story, which is Pygmalion. Yeah, My Fair Lady, Pygmalion. But yeah, so Educating Rita, the whole thing is about like a common British working class woman who's divorced from her husband, I think. Or maybe she's not, but she's like having a life change. And this is like in the late 70s, early 80s, when things aren't so, equal and stuff like that. But she's an adult woman. She's, ended up in a place where she doesn't want to be because she's just split from her partner. All this, she doesn't really want to know she doesn't really know what she wants to do. She's taking up this education course with this I can't remember the guy played by Michael Caine in the movie version. Anyway, I've seen the play in the movie. And it's a really interesting story about, this woman finding her voice and, getting her self-determination and all this, which is not really what a lot of the teaching stories cover. So this is about an adult woman using like adult learning as a way to enrich herself and change her life and get control of her life. So Educating Rita, good story.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember like the highlight. I don't remember the entire movie. It's been ages since I saw it, but I do remember that one scene that was it stuck with me, and it's truth to fiction in a sense. Well, she has read this one very famous book that everyone is quoting and discussing and critiquing, and so she finally reads it. It's a hard reading, and we see her like trying to read it at least for like the first half of the movie or something, like for a long time. Throughout different scenes, we see her reading it. And so eventually she ends up in a talk show where the anchor woman tries to intimidate her, or in general tries to sort of see if she can hold her own, commenting and discussing this book. And she starts saying, "Oh yes, and I love that. At this page they say this, and at that page they say that. And what is your opinion on this particular little nugget that exists in the book?" And then the anchor woman says, "I haven't read it. Like, nobody reads this book." And she tries to gaslight her into being an idiot because she read the book instead of pretending she read the book.
You can't win.
Yeah, and that was for me. That was like like, oh my god, that this can actually happen, and it does unfortunately happen a lot. So
Mm.
definitely watch that movie. It's awesome.
The whole goal is to belittle the woman. And the interesting thing, of course, it follows the Pygmalion My Fair Lady kind of structure, in that the student becomes the master pretty much, or at least doesn't become the master, but eclipses the teacher, which is the point of that story. So the teacher thinks, oh, I'm the smart one here, and I'm going to uplift this person, but it turns out she becomes way, way ahead of him, and he sort of, is running to catch up to her. So that's it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Pygmalion is sort of similar.
Oh, another one with teaching is Sister Act 2. I think it's number 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with Whoopi Goldberg, where she pretends she is a singer that does know her stuff and like knows music theory and all of that, and she goes undercover as a nun. It makes sense in the movie. I'm just not going to explain it all. So she's not actually a nun, but she wears the habit and all of that, and she has her nun friends from the first new movie, and she has to help rescue a school, more or less. And she is the music teacher, and she has to just rally these kids that are, from a ghetto area, and inspire them into actually doing something. And I think also in the first one, she has to teach the choir to actually be good, because the choir is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So in both movies, she has different teaching jobs, and again, it is an excellent way of showing how actually to be a mentor and how to inspire people. Not necessarily inspire them into having careers, into what you are teaching, but inspire them, like having this spillover effect of succeeding in one area as a student, and then since you can succeed in this area, you feel that you can try and succeed in the other areas that you actually want, which is again something that does happen. Gaining confidence and not being afraid to try is key for students. So
it is. Well, there's so many different ways you can approach this whole stuff. Baines, did you have any more that you really enjoy?
Yeah, well, I would put Dead Poets and School of Rock on the top of my list personally, but most of the ones that you guys have mentioned I haven't seen, so I definitely want to check them out. Educating Rita to Serve with Love.
And I have to say, and I have to say, Take the Lead is super fun. Of course, I always have a soft spot for Banderas. I like him, and I like his style, and I like the way he interprets his roles. But he's like a dance teacher, and nobody is interested in dancing. He gets like kicked to the basement of the school or something like that. And there is this awesome scene, and I will not spoil it completely, where he has to find a way to grab the attention of the students and get across to them that knowing how to ballroom dance is actually cool, and it is not quote unquote gay, because especially the boys are afraid that if they do the whole, ballroom dancing, Latin dancing kind of thing, that this is going to emasculate them. So there is this a super hot scene that gets everyone's attention, and I love it. I actually watch it from time to time just because it is so fun. So definitely recommend. And it is based on a true story, by the way, that one. From an actual teacher that actually did this and then launched the program of dancing in these marginalized schools. So, yeah.
Right.
Okay. Interesting. About dance, yes, because we mentioned fame, which is the same kind of thing about teaching people about self-expression sort of stuff and how to get forward in that kind of stuff. Just going back to standard kind of teach. There was an excellent, not an excellent, but it was a famous TV series, Head of the Class, I think it was called, that was just focused on a class of gifted students. So the whole thing was about this guy teaching, being stuck as like the homeroom teacher of these gifted students, and his whole thing was, instead of teaching students how to be, like clever and learn, his thing is how to teach them to be normal because they're really gifted.
Right.
Soft skills teacher then, which is a thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was a reasonably entertaining series. And of course, a one before that was Welcome Back, Kotter. So
yeah, when you mentioned the head of a class, it made me think of Welcome Back, Kotter. I should have tried to find a GIF from that.
So that was big in the 1970s, and it was on constant repeat in Australian TVs all in the early 80s. So that was about a teacher teaching a bunch of delinquents from the 70s. And, of course, it starred the famously John Travolta in one of his very earliest roles as one of the students.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Being very obnoxious. And they're all the cool kids, and the dangerous kids. And, of course, in the 1970s, that was Italian Americans. So in the 80s and forward, that would have been replaced by, Black Americans or something, or Hispanic. But it was mainly Italian. It was Italian, there was a Jewish, there was a Hispanic, and I think there was probably a black kid as well. But it was, that Italian feeling that was a bit more dangerous, which is an anathema now.
Right.
Oh, what's that, Tance?
I think that we are pressed for time. So.
Pressed for time. All right, so we'll have to wrap up now then, because we had such a late start because of all the problems with my computer. So yeah, all the issues are on my fault. That's why we're doing a half an hour Quackcast instead of a full hour, or even less than half an hour. What's that, Baines?
The school bell is ringing.
Oh yes, it is. Unfortunately, we don't have a bell for that, the sound effect. Yeah. So, thank you very much for listening to our Quackcast on teaching, which was inspired by Baines' news post. So goodbye, everyone. See you.
Bye.
Class dismissed.
Excellent. I love it. All right. Wrap up. Bye-bye.
Bye.